Hey everyone, welcome back to the series. In this video, we're going to take your RPG world one step further by adding a sense of verticality. That means giving the player the ability to climb up hills and walk inside areas that feel raised, just like in classic RPGs. If you've been following along, you should already have a player that can walk around a beautiful map with multiple tile map layers, proper sorting and collision setup. Now here's the challenge. Right now, when the player walks into a hill, he still renders underneath it, like it's a wall. What we want is this. When the player climbs into a hill, he should be rendered on top of the base of that hill, as if he's walking up and inside it. This small trick makes your world feel a lot more dynamic, and it opens the door for future features like stairs, ledges, bridges, and multi-level exploration. Now, let's add a bit of logic to our hills to give them real gameplay functionality. We want the player to be able to walk into hills, not just bump into them. So when the player enters a hill area, the collider should be disabled, allowing them to pass through. Let's start by creating a new C# script. Right-click in the Scripts folder, choose Create a C# script. Name it Hill Entry. Once that's done, double-click to open it in Visual Studio or your code editor. Inside the script, we don't need Start or Update, so go ahead and delete them to clean things up. The main idea behind this script is to disable the Hills Collider when the player walks into a trigger zone. Since we might have multiple hills in the scene, we'll make this script flexible by referencing an array of 2D colliders. In this script, we're using onTriggerEnter2D to detect when the player enters the hill area. If the object colliding has the tag player, we loop through all the referenced hill colliders and disable them. This way, we can support multiple hills and keep everything modular and reusable. Alright, now let's go back to Unity and add a visual way for the player to climb into the hill. We're going to add some stairs into the scene, which will act as the entry point to the hill area. First, let's import our stairs sprite. Drag it into the sprites folder. Just like we did before, select the sprite and go to the inspector. Set the filter mode to point, no filter. And finally, apply the correct compression format if needed. Once that's done, go ahead and drag the stairs into your scene and place it right in front of the hill entry point. Now, let's go back to our non-collision low layer and apply the logic we just created. We're going to attach the hill entry script to the stairs or any object that represents the hill entrance. You'll see a field now to assign the hill colliders array. Let's go ahead and select the collision high tile maps from the hierarchy and drag them into the array in the inspector. This connects the script to the hill areas we want to deactivate. Now we need to add a box collider 2D to this game object to act as our trigger area. Click Add Component. Box Collider 2D, make sure to check is Trigger. Then use the resize handles in the scene view to adjust the collider so that it fits precisely over the stairs. This collider is what the player will walk into to trigger the hill entry logic. Once the player touches it, the script will disable the hill colliders, allowing them to move into the hill area naturally. Let's jump back into our hill entry script and finish the logic. The idea here is, when the player enters the trigger zone, we'll loop through all the hill colliders and disable each one. And at the same time, we'll tell Unity to render the player on top of the hill. But first, we need to make sure that the object colliding is actually the player. Let's add an if check to verify the tag. Now inside that check, we'll add a for each loop to go through all the colliders in the array. Before testing it out in Unity, here are a few things to double check. Make sure your player game object has the tag Player. Make sure the Box Collider 2D on your trigger zone is set to isTrigger equals true, and confirm that the hill colliders you referenced are correctly set in the inspector. Now when you hit play, as soon as the player walks up the stairs and enters the hill trigger, the hill becomes passable and the player is rendered on top of it, simulating elevation. Alright, now we've got a small issue. Our player can now enter the hill, but there's nothing stopping them from walking out the wrong way. For example, walking out the top or sides of the hill. We need to add a boundary system to make sure the player can only enter and exit the hill through specific paths like stairs. Here's how we fix it. Let's go back to our grid object, right-click and choose 2D object, tilemap, rectangular name, this one, hill boundary. Now go to your tile palette and select a solid tile, a rock, cliff piece, or even an invisible boundary tile if you have one. Paint the edges or walls of the hill, anywhere the player shouldn't be able to walk through. With the hill boundary tile map selected, go to the Inspector Click Add component and select Tile Map Collider 2D. This will make the painted tiles solid. You can make the boundary tiles invisible by assigning a transparent tile or material, so players don't see them, but they still work for collision. Now hit play and test. You'll see that. The player can enter the hill through the stairs, but can't exit from the sides or back, thanks to the new collision boundaries. I hope you're having as much fun following this series as I had preparing it for you. If you're enjoying the journey so far, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me keep the tutorials coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.